My earliest memories of Sir Pastor Dr. Ian Fitzpatrick is when I first became Christian and lived out in Scarborough. Emmanuel had a Bible study and a gym. So although I was going to Gateway on Sundays, throughout the week I would travel across the city to do some Bible study, but of course, play some basketball. As a nosy young adult, I periodically would poke my head into Pastor Ian's Bible study and prayer group. And there he would be going around a table, sometimes the altar, individually praying for his people. Some fun facts that I have acquired since the early days about Pastor Ian. Pastor Ian thinks a car is simply to get you from point A to point B. For Pastor Ian, a lifesaver can go a long way. Pastor Ian thinks it is acceptable for him to have long hair because he believes that he looks like Paul McCartney. Pastor Ian doesn't like fences, but he likes to build bridges. Pastor Ian was a part of making the Sharing Place a reality. Thank you for that. One night at a secular Christmas party, Pastor Ian decided to grab a guitar and strum out some Christmas carols. An unexpected church was born that night just because Pastor Ian desired to give God the glory. At his very last district assembly as district superintendent, Pastor Ian ordained me. Now, we all make some questionable decisions sometimes. And finally, we respectfully call him a legacy leader. He calls himself an old fogey, and I simply refer to him as a pickleball player. Pastors always like to say that their door is always open. Come in and talk. The truth is that most of us pastors know that there's countless people, but seemingly not enough hours. Whenever I would visit the district office, I would always be greeted by the lovely Mrs. Fitzpatrick. And while we talked, Pastor Ian was always in the background, in a meeting, going to a meeting, or recovering from a meeting. Last year at District Assembly, Pastor Ian decided to casually, no fuss, no muss, slip into the end of his report that this was going to be his last year. We weren't tricked. Immediately, we all naturally stood up and gave Pastor Ian the standing ovation he deserved. Well, I can get emotional sometimes. And as I clapped, I cried just a little. But then I smiled. Pastor Ian was just about to have a whole bunch of free time. The very first thing I did the next week was to get a hold of Pastor Ian. Sir, you deserve a break. You deserve time with your family. You deserve to sleep in. You even deserve the right to call pickleball a sport. However, if all these things don't take up all of your time, would you consider being my mentor? The response, an emphatic yes. The last year, for the low cost of a small dark roast coffee with one milk specifically from Starbucks, Pastor Ian led me into his life. We have talked about planes, firefighting, Pat Burns, and the importance of a suit, but most of all, Jesus. Every month, Pastor Ian would pray for me, just as he prayed for those men and those women in that Bible study long ago. And it is appreciated. You once said to me, Pastor Ian, that a leader has to expect and believe that those that follow them will eventually be better than them. Better leaders, better preachers, better Christ followers. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that for lowly me, but also for the most decorated person, that is a humbling statement, since these are some really, really big shoes to fill. The thing is, just from watching Pastor Ian, we all learned how to be better Christians. Obey the Father, honor the Son, live in the Spirit. You nailed that home, not only in your words, but most importantly, in your actions. And I thank you for that. Sincerely, your brother in Christ, who you once referred to as the sanctified rascal, Stephen.